I'm Irene Wong, a ballroom dancer for 14 years and a co-owner for a costume business for 14 years. And I believe everyone can ballroom, especially couples. So I'm going to interview a lot of people and talking about their ballroom journey and how the ballroom dancing can really enhance the couple relationship and a couple can do things together. So, and in the future series, you're going to hear about all of them.
Today I have Dave and Karen with me. So they're talking about their experience. So before we start, Dave and Karen, do you mind to tell us about you? Give us some background of yourself.
Okay.
I took some dance lessons as a child and then stopped for many, many years. Met my husband on the dance floor. Stopped 4 years to have children. And aside from dancing, I do other things as well, but dancing has always been a big part of our lives.
So are you right now, you are like stay home, retired, yeah, okay. How about Dave?
Yes.
I'm a retired teacher.
Oh, wonderful. What do you teach?
I was teaching elementary school.
Cool. So how about you, Dave?
And by the way, that's why we got along so well, because she was an elementary school teacher and I'm me. So I've always been in construction, in commercial, large projects, that kind of construction. And I've been in construction management for a number of years. And I just retired about 1.5 years ago. So, so I worked all my life in construction. Now Karen and I are both retired. So we do a lot of good stuff together, but that's basically it. A lot of people don't understand that I'm in construction, and even my construction peers, I have to be careful who I tell them that I ballroom dance, because they kind of have a strange view at that. But but it's all good. Everybody, even my construction friends are pretty cool about it. So
that's great. So, you just retired a little bit over 1 year, but that means that you start ballroom dancing before then. So tell me, how did you start ballroom dancing? I remember I heard the Karen said you guys danced a little bit already when you were younger, or how do you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me clarify that. So when we've got our 40th anniversary coming up in a couple of weeks. Okay. So,
congratulations.
2 years for us. We actually got started, we met each other dancing hustle back in the day. Back in the early 80s. Okay, so that's what we did, and that's how we got to know each other. And then we did it for a few years, and then to Karen's point, we stopped and had kids and raised a family, and of course everybody's grown and raised. In fact, I just 2 weeks ago or a week ago became a great grandfather for the first time.
Oh my God, great grandfather.
Yeah, right. So it's all kind of surreal to me, but anyway, but we've always kind of had an interest in dancing, but we never really got back into it until we got into ballroom dancing about 12 years ago. And honestly, I can't remember. Do you remember? I started, I think.
I'm thinking it had to have been a little longer than that, but I would say early, like 2000 maybe. But at any rate, we were living in Centerville. Prior to that, we had talked about someday wanting to get back into dancing when the children were getting older. And I don't know who brought it up, but the idea of ballroom dancing became in our heads because, disco at that point was out, and we just thought it would be something fun to do together. And one day I was out and about in Centerville and saw a studio that said ballroom dancing, and I stopped in, and that started our career right there. Exactly how many years ago, I don't know. I want to say closer to 20, but at any rate, we started taking lessons together, and then that morphed into competition after a few years. David started first, and I went to competitions and watched him dance and decided I needed to get involved as well. We started dancing together, and then I just recently got back into dancing with a professional, but that's kind of how it started.
So I've done more dancing than Karen, but I mean, I think it's closer to 12 years than 20.
Okay.
Okay. But my first love has always been performing and solos and show dances and stuff. And so that's really what the first thing I did when I got into dancing was do a solo routine. And that was with Michelle Kearney, and she ran the Ballroom studio in Centerville, and who, by the way, is still great friends with us. Her studio went out of business several years ago, but she still teaches. In fact, I have a lesson with her tomorrow, and but she's just a good friend of ours. So so that's really what started it for me. I wanted to get into show dancing, and then that kind of led more into more serious ballroom dancing. What I found was that I could go to a competition and do a solo routine, and then the critiques I was getting was more about my ballroom technique than was anything else. I mean, the showmanship and everything else was kind of more natural to me.
So you
But
always like to performing. So
right,
I
right.
see.
But to hear the judges say, your toes weren't pointed, or you didn't have the right rise and fall, or things like that. If that's what I need to do to make my routines better, then I want to do that then. But but I don't think I still don't think I know how to do all that right.
I'm sure you're doing great.
Karen is, I would say Karen's a better technical dancer than I am, but she takes it a lot more seriously than I do. But one thing that we got into that we liked is dancing together. We compete together, but we also did solos together as well.
When you for some people don't understand solo, what does you mean? You're performing, in with dances and, and together.
Right, and it's with a specific song, and you work with an instructor, and they choreograph your dancing to that song. And so we've done a lot of fun things together doing that, and so that's always kind of been
So
a big
when
deal.
Great. So when you get started, do you, Karen, do you think that, oh, I'm going to compete? It sounds like David said, when you started, you already want to do a show. So,
Well, I mean, it started with us just wanting to get back into dancing. Okay. And that kind of meant as a couple, because that's what we were doing, dancing as a couple back in the hustle day. But once we got inside a studio and we realized this studio offered showcases where you could do individual performances and be the only person on the floor, that was the first kind of transition that we made. So we did showcase dances together that we had performed and rehearsed. And then David also did some with the professional instructor as well. And then later I did some, but even though we've danced with professionals along the way, we've continued to dance with each other. So that's how that started. And then it went from just doing the showcases to finding out. We didn't even know there was such a thing as ballroom competitions. Somehow we found that out, and then we started doing that. So
when you started the journey, right, just trying to get back together, just do something together as a couple. Now you guys doing a lot of shows and a lot of competitions. How do you think that shaped your relationships? What do you think, a kind of, relationship standpoint?
That's a very good question. We have to be very patient with each other when we're dancing together. And I'll tell you one kind of a problem that we have had has been that we don't have the venue that we can practice that easily, particularly with smooth dancing where you're dancing around the floor, like waltz or foxtrot or what have you. And so we live in a house that's carpeted. It's just impossible to do that. So the reason I bring that up is a big drawback with dancing, if you allow it to be that, excuse me, is that if you don't practice, you end up practicing in front of your instructors during your lesson. So it becomes wasted money at that point, because you should be practicing on your own And then when you're with your instructor, they should be polishing what you've done. And we have done that before, but for the most part, we just find it difficult to find places of practice. So I would encourage anybody who wants to get into this to, if they have a place at home, whether it's a basement or what have you, to have a place to practice so you can just hone your skills before you go to a lesson and you're not, regurgitating the same stuff. So, so that's one thing, but together it was harder back, 35, 40 years ago, I think, for us to dance. Maybe we were younger and we just didn't know how to deal with it. But now I think we're both a lot more patient with each other now. But it's still hard to do. It's not hard, but I respect other couples out there who are married, who are dancing together, because it shows that they have a commitment to each other, I think, as well as to the dance. I mean, it's easy to go out and pay somebody and dance with them and have them make you look good. But when you're dancing with each other, you really kind of, it comes down to how much skill each of you have to kind of make the other one look good. So I always
it's really create stronger bonding and make you guys, be patient, listen to each other, respect each other. It sounds what I hear, right? So it bring, stronger.
It's a process.
It's a process.
Every now and then I still get, a little short with Karen. She maybe gets a little short with me. But if you step back and think, well, we're both trying the best we can, and and we're going to make it work, then it's going to end up working. And frankly, the problems we ever come up with, if any, are minor to the point that nobody else can even notice them. It's more kind of how we feel about each other.
I think one of the benefits is that it has given us something to do together. I mean, I know other couples can find other things that they do together, but I also hear a lot of couples, especially our age, where they are almost living two separate worlds. They're in the home, but he's got his things, she's got her things, and that's that. So while we do each have our own things, we have this that keeps us together, keeps us, grounded as a couple. And whatever little obstacles there are in the way of that, it doesn't take away from the fact that we enjoy having that time together. We enjoy performing together, even when it's just a regular competition dance and all said and done, and we feel good about what we accomplished. That's nice. And
well, and the other thing I'll add to that, and add to what I said earlier, 35, 40 years ago, my mentality was, look, I'm leading, it's my dance, you do what I want to do, and then we'll look good. I mean, that's kind of my rationale at the time. But it's really more complicated than that. As we look at the way we dance together now, she, even though I'm still leading, she still determines the dance as much, probably more than I would. So it's taken me a number of years to kind of figure that out. But I think now, the only concerns we have with each other at the time is she's being taught by one person, I'm being taught by another. And even though the people we're being taught from are a couple, they're married, but still, it doesn't mesh with each other and doesn't make sense for us to do that. So, but they're minor. I mean, they're just so minor. I'm only bringing it up just to be upfront with everything. But really, Karen's right. I think we both enjoy dancing with each other. We're both hams. I mean, we like to perform, right? So, I have to tell this story real quick. We did a solo routine once at a competition, and it was a kind of a romantic bolero. And somebody and when we were out talking to some other people who had seen it, they said that one lady had said that she cried when she watched it, and that either means that we destroyed the dance so badly that she felt sorry for us, or the fact that she knew that we were married and that we're doing something as complex and showy, frankly, as that was.
And romantic.
And romantic. Yes.
Oh, so that's why I see you guys, right? So it's a romantic, keep the relationship, together and then have something doing together. That is what I always admire of you guys. So I'll ask you, right, if you like to say to other couples, thinking about doing ballroom, but not sure, what will you say to them?
I would say that you need to be committed to it. You can't just, I'll digress a little bit again, because when I got into it, I thought everything was going to be so easy to me, because back in the day, Karen and I were pretty good, and we, 40 years ago at what we did, but I had to figure out that it wasn't going to be that easy. And so I had to commit to dancing and to learning from the professionals. And I did, but it took me a while to do that. So I would say to anybody who wants to get into this, number one, it's just commit to it. Number two, it's great exercise. It's really probably the most exercise we get, and we have gotten in quite a while. And it's fun. At the end of the day, you're learning things. You're impressing other people, to put it bluntly. I mean, you're out there dancing together as a couple, and you're doing stuff that looks good. And I just think it's a blast. I mean,
so they should go do it.
They should go do it. I mean, we all know the health benefits to dancing, whether it's ballroom or any other kind of dancing. So, give it a try at least.
And by the way,
and you don't have to go for competition. You can enjoy it just as a couple socially. So somebody wanting to try it out doesn't have to feel the stress that, oh gosh, this is a competition sport. It can be, but it doesn't have to be.
And by the way, since we began ballroom dancing, I have had both of my knees replaced. Okay, not because of ballroom dancing, by the way. I want to make that clear. But the point is, I continue dancing even after getting both my knees replaced. And I think that speaks to the kind of exercise and the fun that you have doing it. And frankly, I have trouble sometimes with rise and fall and things like that because of my knees. But I'm 66 and I'm not as young as I used to be. So but it's still fun. We still have fun. We've been doing this for a number of years. So.
Very, very good. I'm hoping you two, your story is inspire me. Hopefully I can convince my husband to do it with me. But also hopefully that we can get more people, more couples that thinking about ballroom dancing, at least like Karen said, give it a try, right? So, and you never know where you started, when you say, oh, we're just trying to do ballroom, and then that's where you go more than 10 years later, you guys still here and still going strong and enjoy the dancing, right?
Right.
Okay, so, other benefits that you mentioned?
Well, we have found it just to be fun to be able to share this with our family as well. We've had our children as well as some grandchildren come to see us at both showcases and at competitions.
Mm-hmm.
Our couple of our granddaughters were actually watching David rehearse one time and practice one time. And they are performers in a different sport, and so they had some constructive criticism for their grandpa.
So it's a very good family, bonding activity.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
more family stories to share.
It was a solo routine, and I was doing something with Michelle, and at some point I ended up on the floor on purpose. So I didn't fall or anything. But I had to go down on purpose, and then I got up during the dance performance, and my granddaughter said, "Try not to strain when you get up, and always and look like you're
not hurting."
Yeah, something like that. I'm like, who needs this? But it's important though that to know, I think for family to know that we do stuff together too, and they see us out there having fun. They see us, doing stuff together like that, and I think it's important to us to know that we can kind of convey that to everyone, that even at our age and the number of years we've been married, we still like doing things like this, and we still do it.
I hope you like the story being shared. Maybe you or some of your friends are similar to the people that in the story, and you can give ballroom dancing a try. You never know where it takes you. So if you like what I'm doing, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel or share to the people may be interested. Keep on dancing.